So, quick demo of a new script I wrote called TableAxe. So X like in cutting, so it allows you to manage InDesign tables and cut them, separate them into multiple tables, or rejoin them afterwards. To install TableAxe, the easiest is to use Plugin Installer, which you can download from plugininstaller.com. So once you install Plugin Installer, after following instructions, you need to just go to the software store, browse the store for software, then go into Catalog of Roderick or Licensed Products, scroll down until you see TableAxe, and then click the link here, which will add a bookmark into your plugin installer. So that bookmark gets added. Now, normally, if it is a fresh install, you will have to click download here. So I don't need to click it because I have downloaded it before. But for a new computer, for a new install, you need to click download. And then once it's downloaded, you have to select here which version of InDesign you might want to install it into. I'm going to install it into version 20, which is InDesign 2025. So I'll just pick InDesign 2025 and I will click install. I won't do it just right now, so I first want to show you my scripts panel. And there's my scripts panel. As you can see on the scripts panel, the users subdivision is empty. So if I now go back to Plugin Installer and click install, you see now there's an entry called TableAxe, which contains 2 scripts. And you can uninstall the same way. So if I click uninstall, it's gone again. So you don't need to restart InDesign to install and uninstall. So let's keep it installed for now. The first thing I'll do is run a script called copy sample file with documentation to desktop. That actually gives me a sample file which has some tables in it that we can play with. So I just double click it and that copies that file to the desktop and opens it. And then there is the actual script TableAxe. So TableAxe is a one script tool. There's only TableAxe that you can run, and how it works or what it does depends on what is currently selected in your user interface. So if there's nothing selected in the user interface, if I just click somewhere here and I click TableAxe, I just get a little bit of information. So it will actually give you a brief manual in a dialog. So you can split a table vertically, you can split a table horizontally, you can merge tables vertically, or you can merge tables horizontally. And it all depends on what selection you made in the table. So if you select column 1, that means you want to merge. If you select row 1, that means you want to merge. If you select column 2 or higher, that means you want to split. If you select row, body row 2 or higher, it means you want to split. So let's split this table here in this column. So what I do is I just click to select that column, and then all I need to do is run TableAxe, and that will split the table. So you now have 2 tables, header 1, header 2, and here in between is a little bit of space. And then there's the second part of the table. So the table has been cut into 2 separate tables with separate headers and separate footers. If I want to rejoin them, I have to select column 1 because it's a vertical join. So essentially I'm going to move this there and run TableAxe again. See, and it restores the table where it needs to be. So it went from where it was here, moved back to the next part of the table. So that was splitting by column. I can also split by row. Now when I split by row, I need to select a row, and whatever split as the column or split as the row will be the first row or column in the second table. So now I'll split by row. Double click this. See, now I have 2 tables, and you see also the headers have been repeated. So if we split by row, headers and footers get duplicated in the second table. So here I have now a second table, and I can add some stuff in between, doesn't matter. So 2 totally separate tables, which again I can join. So to join them, instead of selecting column 1, I need to select header 1, and if I then double click TableAxe, it joins them again. Now what is important also is that for splitting you cannot try to select the footer, because splitting in the footer doesn't make any sense. So it will say like cannot split table in a footer row. It also doesn't work if you select the first body row. So this is a header, but this is the first body row. It would not make sense to try and split from the first body row, because you would just make a duplicate table. It would be an identical table. So it will also tell you cannot split table horizontally through the first body row. If you have multiple header rows, it will also tell you that you can't do that. Now when I split and then rejoin, it will verify that the headers and the footers are identical. Now assume that I made a mistake and I actually change one of the footers in the first table or in the second table, doesn't matter, and I try to merge them again. See, it says, well, I can't merge because footer 3 is not footer 2. There's a difference in column number 2. So in this case, I'll just change that back to 2 and then try to merge again. And now my tables are merged again. See, so it's very straightforward. What it does depends on what you selected. If you select column 1, that's a merge. If you select row 1, that's a merge. If you select column 2 or higher, that's a split. And if you select body row 2 or higher, that's a split. So if I want to split here, see that says an image there, and I split, so now that image is in the second table. And if I want to join, I have to go and select the first table, the first column, and run it again, and it will actually join them. Oops, yeah, double click twice. See, a very brief demo. So if you just go to plugininstaller.com, download the plugin installer, and then you can try it out. Now, the TableAxe is not free. It's $4 per seat per year, but you can run it totally functional without paying for a license. So the only disadvantage of not paying for a license is that it'll occasionally remind that it's actually not a free tool, that I actually would like to see some support for creating utilities like this. So if you don't pay, that's fine, but you'll get an occasional dialogue to tell you, hey, this is actually not a free tool. Somebody put a lot of effort into it. Thank you for your attention.